Welcome back to That Woman podcast, the podcast that helps women embrace the journey of finding self purpose, grow their faith, and become the best version of themselves one day at a time. All right, this is it, guys. I cannot believe we have reached the final episode of our Renew and Rise series. 7 deep dives into our hearts, our habits, and our faith. 7 weeks of seeking, surrendering. Today is the culmination of it all. And I have one thing to say to you: TALITHA KOUM. Before we dive into our final episode, I'm going to be very real with you guys. These past 7 weeks, they have been a journey. We have talked about distractions, fear, forgiveness, surrender, sacrifice, you name it. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been spiritually at the gym doing some serious weightlifting with Jesus. And let me tell you, I think I pulled a hamstring in my soul or something, but these 7 weeks have definitely been intense, especially if you have been putting into practice the challenges from each theme. But today, my beautiful friends, today is the day we rise. Today is about stepping into the life God has been calling you to all along. So, whether you're listening in your car, on a walk, or let's be honest, if you're a mom, you're probably hiding in the bathroom for 5 minutes of peace because your kids are wild, just stay with me because this one is for you, my friend. A reading from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verses 35 to 43. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion, with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." But they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him, and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha koum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. This moment in scripture is not only a powerful one, but one that gives us hope. Jesus walks into a room where everyone is mourning. A little girl has died. People are wailing, weeping, already accepting defeat. But Jesus says, "She's not dead. She's just sleeping." Then he takes her by the hand and speaks two powerful words: "Talitha koum." Little girl, I say to you, arise. And she does. She gets up, life floods back into her. Can you imagine being there? Seeing that? The shock, the awe, the sheer power of those words? And here's the thing: Jesus is still speaking them today, and he's saying them over you. What have you allowed to die in your life? Your dreams? Your faith? Your joy? Maybe you've been feeling like that little girl, motionless, lifeless in a way that just isn't about your body, but about your soul. In John chapter 11, verses 25 to 26, Jesus says to Martha after her brother Lazarus died, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Jesus is asking us all this question. Do we believe? Do we have faith that Jesus can breathe life back into us? And the answer should be yes, because this is not the end for you. I don't care how long you felt stuck, how many times you've tried and failed, or how convinced you are that nothing will change. Jesus is standing over you right now, hand extended, saying, "Child, arise." And if Jesus is calling us to rise, why do we stay lying down? Why do we hesitate? Why do we hear his voice and think, maybe tomorrow? Look, I get it. Have you ever hit snooze on your alarm 5 times and then pretended you accidentally overslept? Yeah, I know you have. So have I. That's us spiritually. God's been nudging us to move, but we've been pressing the snooze button way too many times. In The Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis, Book 1, Chapter 22, it says, "Why put off your good purpose? Arise, begin this very moment, and say, 'Now is the time to act. Now is the time to fight. Now is the proper time for amendment.'" We procrastinate because it's comfortable and we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'll grow closer to God when life slows down. I'll start that dream when I have more time. I'll heal when it doesn't hurt as much anymore." But here's the truth: waiting does not make it easier, it just keeps you stuck in the same place. Waiting does not make it easier, it just keeps you stuck in the same place. Isaiah 60, verse 1 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Notice that it doesn't say, "Sit there and wait for the light to hit you." It says, "Arise, shine, move, respond, and stand up." Before I conclude this last episode, I want to take a moment to open up with you and share my experience with rising up to be the woman God has called me to be. Because this episode hasn't been just a fun little hobby that I've created, it has been my life. For so long, I felt like I was running a race that I could never win. I have always been very goal oriented, driven, always chasing the next thing, and have had a very strong work ethic, something I learned from both my parents. And I worked very hard in every single job I had, leading me to an incredible leadership career, developing others, developing myself, striving for more, and on paper, I've been very successful. But on the inside, I have felt exhausted, empty, and always asking, "What's next?" For some reason, throughout my life, I always felt some sort of disconnect. And no matter how many goals I achieved or how much recognition I was given, despite all of that, I always felt hollow and I didn't know why. But deep down, I knew I wasn't living my life the way I was meant to. I was recently talking to my spiritual director, and we were having a conversation about this podcast. And he asked me when it was that I felt a calling to do this. And it reminded me of a conversation I had with my husband years ago. And I think this was the turning point for me. I felt like I had hit a wall. I felt drained, and I just felt like I couldn't take it anymore. I was talking to John about a job I was at, and I remember telling him, "I don't think I'm going to be at this job much longer." I wasn't sure why I was saying it. I wasn't planning on quitting or looking for another job, nothing like that. But for some reason, I just had this feeling and I just knew. I knew that I wasn't going to be working there for much longer. And I didn't know what that looked like, but all I knew was that I was so sure of this gut instinct that I had. 2 weeks later, COVID hit and I was laid off. As crazy as it sounds, being laid off was the biggest blessing of my life because after that happened and everything that followed completely shifted the trajectory of my life. The months and years that followed were not easy. There were a lot of tears, a lot of fear, and a lot of moments of anxiety that would just paralyze me. 2024 in particular was a very hard year for me. I would say the year was filled with some of the most incredible blessings, and at the same time, some of the hardest challenges and moments in my life. There were moments when I would just break down. I would break down in the shower or in the corner of my bathroom, and I would genuinely ask God, "What are you doing? Why are you allowing me to go through this?" And I remember growing up, my mom would always tell me, "God will never give you more than you can handle." But gosh, in those moments of weakness and complete brokenness, I would feel like I could just not handle it anymore. I felt like one more thing and I was going to break apart. And I can tell you for a fact that even in those moments where we feel like we just cannot handle one more thing on our plate, I can tell you that God is still there to comfort us. For me, that comfort showed up as a little nudge, and this probably was from my guardian angel when I look back. But as I would be in those moments of brokenness, begging God to take away the pain and take away the suffering I was feeling, I felt a little voice whispering to me, "You are praying for the wrong thing. Don't ask God to take this pain away. Ask God to give you the strength you need to persevere through it." And one of my favorite Bible verses kept coming to me, Joshua 1:9. "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Sitting here today, I know now, I know that God has been preparing me. Everything I've gone through, all the striving, all the empty successes, all the searching, all the pain and sacrifices, it has all led me here, to this moment, to you, to this purpose, because I finally realized I wasn't made to chase goals that left me empty. I wasn't made to break down and give up. I was made for more, and so are you. And I don't know where you are right now, but if you've ever felt like I did, lost, defeated, dead inside, and unsure of your purpose, I want you to know God is not done with you. And when the time comes, He will speak over you the same words He spoke over me. "TALITHA KOUM." Little girl, I say to you, arise. I want to leave you with one final challenge for Renew and Rise. We've spent 7 weeks doing the inner work, and now it's time to create change. No more waiting, no more maybe someday. No, today is the day. So there will be 3 steps for this challenge. Number one, identify one area where you've been lying down when God is calling you to rise. Maybe you've been stuck in fear, afraid to step into what God is calling you to do. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect time to start that thing God has placed on your heart, whether it's a business, a ministry, a nonprofit, a dream, or even just healing. Maybe you've been putting off forgiveness because it feels too hard and too painful. Whatever it is, name it and bring it to light. You cannot rise if you don't first recognize what's been keeping you down. Number two, Take one tangible step forward. Big or small, just move. If it's fear that's holding you back, do one thing this week that scares you. If you've been delaying a dream, take a baby step. Maybe it's signing up for a class, reaching out to a mentor, or simply putting pen to paper and writing the vision. If it's forgiveness, take the first step toward healing. And maybe that's praying for the person, maybe it's journaling your pain, maybe it's having that difficult conversation. It doesn't have to be big, but it has to be something. And number three, create a daily rise and renew moment. This week, I want you to create a habit, something small but intentional that reminds you daily to rise. This is about consistency and commitment. Choose one practice to do every single day this week that will set the tone for your day and reinforce your renewal. So, some examples can be a morning reset, wake up 10 minutes earlier and start your day with prayer and scripture before anything else. No phone, no distractions, just you and God. You can go on worship walks. You can take a quick 10 to 15-minute walk every day, listening to worship music or a faith based podcast to reset your heart and mind. Or you could also create a victory journal. End your day by writing down one win, something you did that day that helped you to rise, even if it was small. And if you can't do all of these daily, that's okay. The goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. And it's about intentionally making space to walk in renewal, even when you don't feel like doing it. All right, friends, we have come to the end of our last episode in the series. And if this series has spoken to you, please leave a review for the show. Not just because it helps others find it, but because I love hearing your stories. I want to know, what has God awakened in you? How has Renew and Rise changed the way you see yourself, your faith, or your purpose? Let me know. And don't worry, this isn't the end. There are more episodes coming your way, more inspiration, and more topics that will help you grow. This podcast isn't a one time series. This is a movement. It's a journey, and we're going to keep going, keep growing, and keep rising. And just remember that in the moments of weakness where we feel like giving up or can't keep going, close your eyes and feel the presence of God. Jesus is standing right there, looking at you with so much love in his eyes. And he's extending his arm out saying, TALITHA KOUM. And if Jesus is saying those words to you, guess what, my friend? You are going to rise. And until next time, keep on striving to be that woman you can be proud of.